This next story is of a Versailles Cinderella. It's a bit twisted, and it's as if Rumpelstiltskin made his way into the classic fairy tale. So today we're going to be transitioning the famous Mistress, Madame du Barry. If you're new to this channel, here on Mortal Faces, I take historical portraits and recreate them into real life using my technology and Photoshop skills to give you my interpretation of how I think these portraits might have looked if taken with a camera. I also provide commentary to give you an idea of who these people were and what their deal was. So let's get started. Thank you for watching. Subscribe for more historical recreations and let me know in the comments who you'd like to see in real life. Jeanne Bacou was born in 1743 in northeastern France. She was not illustrious at all. She was firstly illegitimate. Her mother was a seamstress, and they think her father was a friar. Her mother received charity when Jeanne was very young, and the charity came from her mother's acquaintance, who was probably her lover, and this man employed her mother as his mistress's cook. Jeanne was 3 at the time, and so she tagged along. This mistress adored little Jeanne and spoiled her, and the household even paid for her education. So off she went to school, and when she was 15 she returned. Their luck ran out now though, because both mother and daughter were thrown out. Speculations could be that she was too pretty, or now old enough to support herself, or perhaps the mistress was tired of their company. Either way, Jeanne and her mom were now in a desperate situation, and so they squished themselves into the tiny home of Jeanne's stepfather. Jeanne had to support herself, but any job she took, she could not hold on to. Each time, she was a bit too much for her employers. She was either too beautiful, or too flirtatious, or too romantic, and this was both a blessing and a curse because it allowed her to socialize really well, but also too well, and so she kept getting fired. Eventually, her Cinderella job would come along as a shop girl at a fashion boutique. This shop had many different customers, and one of them was a nobleman named Jean-Baptiste du Barry. He was a brothel owner tailoring to high-class clientele. And this was in 1763 when she was 20. I think we all know what's going to happen, so we're just going to skip ahead to when she became his mistress. As a high-class prostitute, her clients were aristocratic, and that allowed her to slither her way into Versailles. France at the time was headed by King Louis XV, and with her frequencies at Versailles, he eventually spotted her. Louis was seeking a new companion after his longtime mistress, Madame de Pompadour, and his wife, the Queen, passed away the same decade. She became a regular companion to the king. Louis XV wanted her there permanently, but royal protocol stated that she needed to be someone. So to legitimize herself, the plan was to marry someone with a strong lineage. Jean-Baptiste du Barry's brother, Guillaume, was chosen, and they wed. She could not marry Jean-Baptiste himself because he was already married. Then she needed to be presented at court by a member of the nobility. Nobody wanted to risk their reputation by helping this brothel woman, so they got this old noblewoman who needed the money, and they paid her to do it. This was all said and done in 1769 when the king was 59 and du Barry was 25. Du Barry was a rainbow at court and evoked many emotions. Some people loved her, more of them hated her, but she certainly was the center of talk. As the official mistress to the king, she had both status and protection, which were two very important qualities if you wanted to survive in that place. Unlike her predecessor, Madame de Pompadour, du Barry was not interested in politics. Instead, she preferred shopping, and shopping she did. She would overspend, and she amassed a huge jewel collection. When Marie Antoinette came into Versailles in 1770, the two of them did not get along. Du Barry was still a harlot in many eyes, and certainly to Marie. So it took quite a big push for the future queen to even acknowledge her. Louis XV died from smallpox in 1774, and du Barry was sent to a monastery by Queen Marie Antoinette and the new King Louis XVI. After a year, she was allowed to live elsewhere, and so she decided on her chateau in Louveciennes. There she lived until 1793, and in between that she took on some new lovers and focused on her hobbies. Despite her love for overspending, she was generous to those who asked for her help. Her position as mistress allowed her to help those while she was at Versailles, and now that she was in Louveciennes, she still continued to help others who needed it. The French Revolution began in 1789, but du Barry was not taking it seriously. In 1791, she was robbed, and many of her jewels were stolen and ended up in London. A long story short, she made herself her own target. During this time of hostility, she promoted the robbery with reward signs. And during this time when people were to stay low, she did the opposite and attracted negative attention. Her jewels were found in London, and so she went to retrieve them. They were stuck on hold, and so the only thing she could do was use them as security to finance her extravagant life in London. She did not lay low and kept going back to France to her house. She never really understood the danger she was in. Then two of her servants, a cook and her page boy, betrayed her to the revolutionaries during the Reign of Terror and used her multiple travels between London as evidence of smuggling émigrés and secret information out of France. She was branded as a counter-revolutionary and imprisoned in 1793. She was tried, and a day after her trial, she was put to the guillotine. She was 50 when she died. And that's the story of this Rumpelstiltskin Cinderella. So I hope you enjoyed this video. Thank you for watching. Subscribe for more historical recreations, and I'll see you in the next one.